and welcome to my vegan experiment. My name is Kat, and today I wanted to talk to you about the environmental impacts of soy production. The main reason I went vegan about 1.5 years ago is because of the environment. I'm a scuba diving instructor, and seeing how the reefs were dying was devastating, and I wanted to do anything I could to help. So from all the research, I found out that changing your diet, going to a vegan, plant-based diet, is the best thing you can do to help decrease your carbon emissions and decrease your general footprint on the earth. So I've been requested to do this video, and I found it a very interesting topic for the past couple of years, is the environmental impacts of soy. Recently, more and more people are going vegan, and the demand of soy has been increasing. A few meat eaters also like to point out that soy is not very environmentally friendly, therefore we're not actually helping the environment. So I decided to do some research and find out the truth of this. If you like these kinds of videos, if you are interested in anything to do with veganism, scuba diving, environment conservation, click down below, subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you can stay updated with all my new videos. Alright, so let's get into it. So the environmental impacts of soy. So let's talk about not just the environmental impacts, but also the social impacts which come along with soy. Currently, in the past 20 years, the demand for soy has greatly grown. Just between years 2000 and 2010, the demand for soy went up 73%. And today, the amount of soy produced is somewhere around 260 million tons every single year. Europe alone gets 39 million tons imported into it. However, majority is actually going to the animal. 90% of this 39 million tons of crop is going straight to feed the animals. Now, 39 million tons, so you can just get a visual. Imagine if there were 24 kilometers long of truck after truck after truck, bumper to bumper, filled with soy. That's how much. So that's an enormous amount, but 90% of that does go to feeding animals. Recently, due to the large demand of meat worldwide, they have had to up their production of soy, which is one of the primary things that is fed to them. Since soy is very high protein per kilometer, it's one of the most high protein per kilometer per hectare that they can grow. This is what they feed to the animals. However, if we do compare the consumption of consuming direct tofu, for example, which is straight from the soy curd and 100% plant-based, or if we compare it to an equivalent amount of beef, so 1 kilogram of beef needs about 10 kilograms of soy to be created, not to mention just the amount of water. It has been said that in the short answer, choosing soy is always going to be better than choosing the meat option in terms of the environment, but this does not mean that soy is environmentally good. Currently, only 3% of the world's soy is certified as sustainable. Now, this is a tiny number if we consider coffee is at 16% and palm oil is at 14%. As vegans, we constantly hear not to eat or drink anything which has palm oil in it because it's so unsustainable. So it turns out that soy actually has an even smaller percentage that is certified sustainable. Now, yes, it's true that certifications are quite expensive, so a lot of smaller farmers cannot afford to get the official stamp, but this is also another one of the problems. Due to the large expansion of these soy productions, many of the local farmers which have lived on the land are actually either moved, whole communities are moved to make place for these giant soy plantations, or then they are potentially exploited, which isn't great. In Brazil, 20.5 million hectares are occupied by soy in comparison to 1940, when only 704 hectares were occupied by soy. You can see the enormous growth. And in Brazil, unfortunately, a lot of that has been deforestation and cutting down of the Amazon rainforest. Cutting down the rainforest is negative in so many different areas. So first is the biodiversity issue. Since the trees are being cut down and giant biodiverse areas of the rainforest are now transformed to monoculture land, not only does this minimize or eliminate the places for endemic species to be able to live, such as the jaguar and the maned wolf and many other native plants and other animal species, it also means the land is very susceptible to pathogens or diseases. Most soy productions are monocultures, which means there's only one singular plant species on this entire farm. This is also a danger for the farmers, as if some sort of disease strikes, they lose their entire crop. This makes the farmers rely even more heavily on genetically modified soy, which is the leading genetically modified plant in the world currently being sown. And then since they're using this genetically modified soy, they also have to use strong herbicides and pesticides which to be able to eliminate the weeds. And these herbicides then leach chemicals not only into the soy plants themselves, which is then transported and then transformed into food for us or the animals, which then goes into human food anyway, but it also leaches these chemicals into the soil and into the water systems, not only endangering the lives of the local people and animals, but also traveling all the way down the big rivers and into the oceans. As we know, pesticides is one of the big reasons for the ocean dead zones around the world, which means giant areas of runoff of these pesticides and antibiotics from meat and dairy farms where no coral can live and the fish are dying or they're getting, third eyes and things like that. The last thing about monocultures is the earth simply does not have the ability to recover back to its healthy state. If we continuously plant plants and then we, take them out and there's tilling and there's pesticides and it's just one singular plant constantly, that earth very quickly loses all its nutrients and minerals. As you guys know, you might have heard, I spent a couple of months on Mazzy Farm, which is a regenerative agroforestry farm, and they're trying to combat these issues of commercial monocultural farming. So instead of relying heavily on pesticides, you can actually just mimic nature and create a balanced ecosystem where trees shed their leaves onto the ground, decompose, don't leave the ground uncovered, and allow nitrogen and carbon to go back into the soil. So these kinds of methods are really important for sequestering carbon as well. Since in the Amazon, for example, which is being cut down for these soy productions, trees are taken away. Therefore, our regulation of carbon dioxide in our air is also taken away. One tree can absorb about 1 ton of carbon dioxide in its life. So if we're cutting down, currently 300 million hectares of tropical forests have been felled just in the past 20 years to make space for soy plantations. At the current rate, the Amazon contains 90 to 110 billion tons of carbon dioxide within it, and it's constantly dragging more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere through the process of photosynthesis. This number is about equivalent to how much the entire world expels in 9 to 14 years of current human global emissions. So that's an enormous amount. So we've talked about the deforestation effects, we've talked about the climate effects, we've talked about the dangers that the workers are in terms of dependence on these big GMO companies to actually provide them with the seeds that they can then plant in these very non-fertile soils because they have been overworked. It's not the vegans. The vegetarians and the vegans have increased the demand for soy, but unfortunately majority of the demand for soy is still into animal feed. Therefore, the best thing you can do for our planet is to decrease your meat consumption, and the less meat you eat, the less beef demand there is, therefore the less soy demand there is. If you do still want to eat soy, try and eat locally sourced soy, non-GMO soy, and just be mindful of where your food comes from. There are plenty of other delicious vegan options to get your protein from. I'm a big fan of leafy greens, and in general, you can get all the nutrients you need through eating whole foods, and you don't need to depend on soy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know, do you guys eat soy a lot? What are your thoughts about this whole let me know down below. As you guys know, I'm currently in the Comoros, where I am working as a scuba diving instructor, but I'm also working towards eliminating plastic from our oceans. If you want to help out with that cause, please feel free to go on to Patreon, and just $1 a month could make a huge difference in helping organize cleanup dives or beach cleanups or anything like that. You can also get this cool shirt, which is the Plastic is Killer t-shirt, and support the Plastic Free Fund while raising awareness about the dangers of plastic in our oceans. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.